Hey there, I'm Mark, and I love Maryland Heights. And one of the reasons why I love Maryland Heights is there are so many amazing stories and so many amazing people who live here, who work here, who drive here, who shop here, who drink coffee here, who church here, just do life here. And I am very excited to share with you a person I can't quite put a label on because this man does everything. On his driver's license and on things that he signs, he probably signed something like Bob Baker, but he's always making stuff up. So we affectionately call him, and I hope you will help us also call him Improv Bob. So, Improv Bob, welcome to I Love Maryland Heights.
Mark, it's so great to be here. Yeah, we've known each other for a couple, 2 or 3 years. And I just recently learned about your podcast, and I really appreciate the invitation. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, you accidentally bumped into me because you're part of a healthy living group that tries to eat better and just sort of encourage each other to make better decisions, longevity and wellness.
Yeah, it was actually, my wife Pookie and I, who you know, we joined Weight Watchers like 2 years ago. And because they had these in-person meetings right down the street near Cyberg's, and we met there every Friday. And then Weight Watchers changed things and they did away with a bunch of their in-person meetings. But we wanted to keep meeting, just this group of us that were showing up there. And I said, hey, there's this coffee shop right down the street that I've been to a couple of times. And then we've been meeting there almost every Friday for like 3 years now. Isn't that crazy?
That's a Friday morning?
That's where the Friday morning group came from.
How much does it cost if somebody wants to just kind of visit and see other healthy people?
Oh, what's the cost? There's no cost. You have to buy a coffee, I guess, if you want to support the establishment here. But we love Higher Grounds for so many reasons, which maybe we'll talk about. Yeah.
We love you right back. Absolutely. So I think in my own life adventure, I always imagined it's trying to live longer and not die as soon, but not just lifespan, but also health span.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just about making it to 120, but it's about, like Moses in the Bible, having your eye undimmed and your vigor unabated until you're 120. Now, if I get run over by a bus or, I fall off something and it just happens, but I don't want to slow down if I can avoid it. You're a healthy guy?
Yes, I am. No serious ailments, and I'm currently 65. Yes, I've reached that age where I'm doing the Medicare thing and all that. And as we'll discuss here, most of my life I've leaned into the arts, and I wasn't very good at athletics and physical things. I was uncoordinated, got made fun of and picked on as a young boy. And so I said, well, heck with this. I'm going to do stuff I have more control over, which I got into music and writing and all this stuff. So physical activity was not always like a high priority for me. I didn't play a lot of sports and all that, did a lot of other things. But now at this age, I don't realize that my health is the foundation. Everything else is built upon that. So I'm putting a renewed focus and actually trying to shift my identity to say, I am a healthy person. I stay physically active. And that hasn't been always the case in other areas of my life, but I'm making it a priority now.
The most important thing that somebody could do for health span, longevity, and just longness of health and function is have a solid relationship with God. It just decompresses emotions and, stress and things like that. You realize it's something bigger than control. It's on your side. But the second most effective thing, which as a police chaplain, I've really had a struggle to figure out what works, is just being physically active. And this doesn't mean you have to go lift weights, an hour and a half a day. This doesn't mean you have to go swim 4 miles every day. It definitely means don't splash around in our beloved Creve Coeur Lake.
Definitely don't do that.
But you can do just a half hour of walking every day or other day. Makes a massive difference. But then the third thing is to have creative hobbies, to have things that just engage your mind.
Oh, yeah.
So that way you can actually do things. And so when we were getting ready for this conversation, and I think a goal for me, for all of our listeners on this episode, is if you've got an idea whether you're great at it at the beginning or not, jump in and do it.
Yeah.
Learn an instrument, take an online course, figure out how to use Microsoft Excel, do something easy like becoming a network administrator or just things that they're just fun. And if you're not great at it at the beginning, fine. Like pickleball. I mean, no one's really great at pickleball.
Right.
But, everybody can just pick up a racket and bounce it back and forth.
Well, I like what you said about if something interests you, jump into it, because that actually is a part of who I am and how I've got engaged in so many different things. So while I didn't get engaged in sports, I'm a St. Louis native, by the way. I've been living in Maryland Heights for 19 years. And I'm also a member of the community center here in Maryland Heights. And so I love going there to swim, walk the track, I do use the gym now. They have fitness classes there. So I'm using that a lot. But from the creative side, throughout my life, whenever I observe something, like I would go see like a band playing somewhere and I go, oh, like when I was a teenager, I'd like, that looks cool. I want to do that. I got my first electric guitar for my 15th birthday. And I had this vision. And my first major concert that I saw at age 16 was Led Zeppelin at the old arena. And that was a life-changing experience for me because after that event, I was just so pumped. And I just visualized, I saw myself on stage and playing, and I made a commitment at 16 that by the time I was 21, I would be playing in local bands, in bars.
Oh, wow.
So when I was drinking age, I could play locally and regionally. And I made that happen. I kept that vision. I, jammed with friends throughout high school. And when I turned 21, put an ad in the paper and pursued it and was playing out full time, shortly thereafter. And did that for like 3 years. I've since made music is now a part-time passion of mine that will last a lifetime. But I also got involved in other areas of the arts, as you know, like theater, comedy, and improv.
I just love how you're involved in so many things. You're sort of like that song on Zootopia. I want to try everything, even though I know I can fail.
Yeah, and the term Renaissance man is used often, to describe me. That's, I guess, a reference to someone who does a lot of different things, You
make me think of you, as I'm seeing you, in pantaloons, or like as in bloomers, like the breechers, like, as a Renaissance man, imagine you with like the beret and everything.
And so improv, like a lot of people know it from the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? Or maybe you've heard of Second City in Chicago, which is more of a modern American art form. But the earliest version of it was something called Commedia dell'arte. Like in Europe in like the 1500s, there were roving bands of performers that probably wore the pantaloons, and they would go from town to town playing these different characters, and they would improvise different scenes. So that was like one of the earliest forms of theatrical improv on the planet.
I love that you're not just making stuff up as you go. Like you're actually learning the backstory, what's the history, and how can we do it better?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Now, before we jump off the music, I know you said you are currently 65. I appreciate how you tossed in there, I'm currently 65.
Yeah, currently.
But next year I might try 66.
Well, by the end of June, I'll be 66. Yeah.
And so you said your first electric guitar was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Before that, was it steam powered guitar or?
I did have this really bad acoustic guitar that I would hurt my fingers. I could hardly play it, but I really got serious with it when I got my first electric one. Literally on my 15th birthday. But you're right, that was over 50 years ago. Crazy.
Currently 50 years ago.
Currently, yeah.
Next year it might be a totally different number.
Are always updating. Yeah.
What kind of music do you like to play?
Well, I was weaned on, like I said, rock and roll. I was listening to Keishi when they were playing stuff that was cutting edge, back in the 70s. And so, rock is where my roots are. But over the years, I've expanded to include alternative rock, pop rock, like crafty pop rock, Elvis Costello and Squeeze and Crowded House. These are all bands from the 80s. I was heavily influenced by the 80s because when MTV was a new thing, I was playing out actively in what's called top 40 bands, which means you're playing the hits of the days. Those are also known as cover songs. And that was really valuable too, even though I was playing other people's songs. And back then we didn't have YouTube to go to figure out how to play songs. You had to put like a vinyl record on and move the needle over and over and listen to the song to figure out what they were playing. And it really trained your ear. And then you started learning like the song structures of popular songs. And then when I started writing my own, which I did from pretty early on, I had this sort of like knowledge of how songs are composed and created because I played other people's stuff, And
you did a music hour, a happy hour with Bob Baker here at Higher Grounds, and you regularly do this, and I love this. You just recently did one. And something that I was very impressed with, because I was at your first one here, you did impersonations of other people.
Yeah.
And now you're 65 years old, which means you're 100 years older than the average person in Maryland Heights.
It's funny.
But you did an incredible version of a Nirvana song.
Yeah, doing Kurt Cobain's voice. Yeah.
You did it in Kurt Cobain's voice, and it was marvelous. I mean, it was Kurt Cobain. It was incredible.
Thank you.
It was incredible. It was just amazing how you were able to do that. And because you have such a big variety and spread of the kind of music that you play. And it's remarkable how you're able to just entertain.
But, it's interesting. I don't think I've ever had an official guitar lesson or a vocal lesson in my life. But I played with people that, were better than me when I was younger, where I learned. But the thing, I mentioned this cover band thing, playing the top 40 hits. And I always thought of it as a challenge if I could mimic the original singer, and so it trained me without getting official voice lessons to how to use my voice to get different sounds and, to basically impersonate the person who sang the original song. That came in very handy. I don't know why. I was just always fascinated with that. So I just learned how to use my voice to get a different sound. And then when I've written a lot of original music, it's all that blended together into a sound that's uniquely mine, So I got the rasp of the rock stuff. I can do the whispery stuff of some other, so and it's nice to have that variety. And I just kind of figured out how to use my voice. And the same way with speaking and performing, as an actor and an improviser. And then we haven't even talked about my YouTube channel, which is another way I use my voice.
Do you have a favorite person to impersonate?
Boy, not really. No, I just like the variety. And I tend to always, the 80s was my big decade, and and a lot of times when people hear my original songs, they go, that sounds like it could have been a song in the 80s. And so that there was a certain style there with a whispered effectiveness, that's unique to that era.
There's one musician, and I'm going to leave it up to the people who are listening to guess who I'm impersonating, but there's one musician that you either love or hate. And I'll oftentimes hear people with these songs and they're like, oh, I love this person. And other people are like, ooh. And usually you'll have one person who really loves this person, but then everybody else in their family is tired of hearing it. And my biggest complaint with this person, now he was amazing because back in the day, everything was just very kind of slapsticky or Chopin or Bach. And so for his time, it was amazing. But he had an amazing skill to do songs that everybody knew, but then make them 5 times as long. And he sounds like, row, 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 row your boat gently down the stream. And, sequins and hip hopping and everything.
So would I know this singer?
I imagine you do.
Yeah.
Imagine me with a bunch of sequins, popping my hips and everything, and all the girls love it.
Elvis.
Yep.
Oh my God, that was my mom was a big Elvis fan. That was the first music I was exposed to. You haven't heard my Elvis impersonation, have you? Yeah, I can do Elvis because I did that for my mom. That was, yeah.
That's why you're a professional musician. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And it's interesting how I've discovered there's different ways of using your voice. There's similarities like this. Hopefully this is a tangent. You're going to want to, but Chubby Checker, right? Come on, baby. Let's do that twist. Yeah. That's one. But if you change that just slightly, it also is kind of similar to Michael McDonald. I keep forgetting I'm not in love anymore. So, so it's amazing. And it's a little Elvis in there. Ho, ho, ho. So that's usually the same part of your throat, your voice.
And people under 50 are like, who in the world are you talking about?
Who is he talking about? Yeah.
The Google searches have gone up by at least 16.
Yeah.
For those actors, or those singers, who is that?
I know I do have a lot of older references for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I want to talk to you about as we're just having a conversation, because quite honestly, a lot of the people that we have on here, they're on here because they're really good at one thing or really good at 2 things. Mm-hmm. But you are really just like you said, a Renaissance man. You just are great at all sorts of things because you're just sort of like, let's take the adventure.
Yeah.
Let's figure this thing out. So with all the things that you do, with your affirmations on YouTube, which I want to talk about in a little bit, with your improv comedy shows, with your music happy hours, just all the things that you do, you have an incredible gift for showmanship. And I've seen this when you do your improv shows. You don't need the stage. You don't need the limelight. You'll have 3 or 4 other people up there doing improv, and you're comfortable sharing that spotlight.
Absolutely.
And you're very good at just kind of getting out of the way and letting them shine. But to do that, you've got to be a master showman to just make sure everything is going well, that the audience is having a good time, to not only do the performance, but also read the crowd and just kind of know what works and bring good ones in at another show and to let other bad ideas go. So what would you say are sort of keys to your showmanship? I mean, I'm certain it comes natural at this point, but what do you think sort of is keys to that? Is people who aren't good at shows, aren't good at performances or even presentations, like a PowerPoint presentation? What are your tips for showmanship?
So for people who think you're just born with it or it's something that's in your DNA, the first 15 years of my life, actually up to that point where I got that first electric guitar, I was like incredibly shy. I was awkward, socially awkward. I had a stutter. So I was like the least likely person you would think would be do those extroverted things. However, I did feel like there was a more adventurous person on the inside that was wanting to come out and be expressive, but was being held back by these thoughts of insecurity, which is kind of what led to my personal growth and the affirmation work that I do now. But you hone that. You're at first you're just nervous being in front. I remember my first public performance in 4th grade. I was just actually playing a trumpet. I played "The Saints Come Marching In" like at a Boy Scout thing or something. And I remember my hands were just shaking writing. And so, yeah, and it was nerve wracking. The first time I did stand-up comedy, it was like, oh my God, my nerves were just off, they're going crazy. But yeah, you just get more and more comfortable doing it. You can't intellectualize or affirm your way into being a good, confident public speaker. You just have to get out and do it. And if you're drawn to doing it more, like a lot of people go, oh, I don't like it. But I kind of got an adrenaline rush from getting a response from people. Like, so at first, when you're in the spotlight, it's like, oh, cool, I'm in the spotlight. People are recognizing me. It's kind of like you feel good because you're being recognized and validated. But over time, when you realize, oh, I've really delivered some value, like if these people laughed or they learned something or I inspired them in some way, it becomes more about your mission is to deliver that value more so than it is just to be in the spotlight and say, look at me, how cool I am. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We could do our 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, whatever our job is. We can do that and then just go home and watch other people perform on TV or TV shows or binge watch or play video games. But for our listeners, if you pick something that you would really like to do and you just commit 1 hour, 2 hours a week. I mean, more, you're going to get more. It's going to go quicker. But if you just did like 1 or 2 hours a week, maybe on the weekend, just to do something new, you're going to start getting good at whatever that new thing is.
Yeah.
So I'm very comfortable talking to anybody in any sort of conflictual situation because I actually, my first job was working at a grocery store. And I was a bagger, then a cashier, then all sorts of things. I ended up in low-level management. And when I would go through a day as a cashier, it was my job mentally. I held myself accountable to not only move as fast and clean as possible, not breaking people's eggs. I would have a conversation with each person, but I could never use the same conversation prompt twice. And that might be an 8-hour shift, a 12-hour shift, whatever.
Because it's a personal challenge you did, not to use the same prompt twice?
Yeah. And which made me be very creative. What kind of dog do you have? They got this gigantic bag of dog food. But then I can't use that even if somebody buys a 400-pound bag of dog food again. I got to say, did you see the sale on Bubblicious we're having today? And so then it became, what is the smallest thing I could have a conversation with somebody about? And that was a very neat thing. I noticed you're wearing a scrunchie. Do women have a preference for like bigger hair ties and smaller hair ties? I mean, just ridiculously obscure things.
Yeah.
And it really gave me an opportunity to learn how to read people, talk to people, and being comfortable in any sort of conversation.
I think that's one of my superpowers. I actually wrote a blog post about this just the other day, about being a good listener, but also a good observer, which is another trait to be good at improv. You got to be in the moment and you got to be paying it because you're co-creating. Unlike stand-up comedy, which is like a solo, you're just telling jokes. Improv is an ensemble. You're making something on the spot with at least one other person. So you have to be paying attention to each other. But that's a skill that I use in my social life too. I like to pay attention to what someone's wearing, what they say, ask follow-up questions. That's a great trait. Yeah.
Now, your improv shows are amazing. And I want to invite people and kind of give people details on your improv shows. Your improv shows are amazing. Now, before COVID, everybody generally, I guess, I can't say everybody generally, but everybody generally looked forward to events. I'm going to go to this concert. I'm going to go to a friend's house. I'm going to go do this thing. We're going to go to this park. And then something happened in COVID where culturally it became much more the norm of let's just not do anything and stay at home. And entertainment industry has really struggled. And so a lot of these kind of pop-up events like an improv show, many people used to want to go, but now many people will just withdraw. And so I'm just going to give everybody the nudge. Whether Bob is doing an improv show here at Higher Grounds or wherever else you may be having an improv show.
It's the only place I've been in the last couple of years. Yeah.
Well, it's just been a great partnership. It's just been great.
It really has been. Yeah.
But this isn't a plug for Higher Grounds. This is a plug for your shows.
Thank you.
And I would encourage, if you're listening to this, just try one of these shows. It is like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
I have some really good performers. I have some of the best, what they call short form and musical improv seasoned performers in St. Louis. I really do think so. Yeah, it's a quality product. And thank you for acknowledging that.
And, if you watch Whose Line Is It Anyway, these are people who have done this sort of circuit and they've done it and they, for whatever reason have gotten it, then they own part of the show. And so they're always there. These are actors that you probably don't know. So you don't know their affinities, their leanings, and they are just amazing. And it's about 2 hours.
It's a 2-hour show with an intermission, like the length of a play or a long movie. Yeah.
But you're actually interacting. And I love how you try to get people from each table in each area involved. And so if you go to one of these shows, they won't embarrass you. There have been people you've said, hey, would you come on up? And they're like, absolutely not. And, you don't start pulling their fingernails out.
That's a good thing to clarify because I do two different things with improv. I teach classes, which you come and they're hands-on. That's where you learn the craft. And then there are shows. And a lot of people confuse them. And I'll invite people to a show and they'll go, oh, no, I'm not good at improv. And I go, well, good, because you're not going to be on stage anyway. There's 6 of us doing that. So the most you'll do at an improv show is yell out a suggestion if we ask for one. And a couple of games here and there, we'll ask for volunteers, but you have to want to come up. No one's going to pull you up. No one's going to make fun of you. It's all very, positive and fun.
And I've been at your shows where somebody says, no, I don't want to come up. And you don't embarrass them.
No.
You just go, oh, okay, well, I just want to give you the right of first refusal because you're so handsome.
Yeah.
How about over here at this table? So you really help them save face. It's not embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's a great show. And to see it live, there's something amazing about not watching something pre-recorded or not watching something that, was produced in 2022 as a TV show, Hollywood, because it's messy, it's real, it's live, it's in the moment. There's just something amazing.
And I've done traditional plays like over the years. I've probably been in a couple dozen community and college local theater where you had to memorize lines and all that. And I really have fond memories of that. But I don't think I'd ever want to be in that. I love not being able to come in and do a full 2-hour show with 5 other players, not have to memorize any lines, and just trust that we're going to make stuff up. Now, there's a structure to it. We're not just totally wing. Yeah, each game has every game is like 3 to 6 minutes long, and there's a structure to it. But the content of it is literally made up on the spot because we don't know what the suggestion is going to be.
And it's not like watching your uncle do one of these shows.
Yeah.
These performers are tremendous.
Top notch, yeah.
Okay, so I want to make sure that people can follow up with you. There's all sorts of things that you fascinate me with. So on the improv conversations, how would somebody find you if they're interested in taking classes to be an improv or just to polish their party skills or to watch one of your shows? What's a great way for people to find you?
Because we talked a bit about being a performer or whatever. So you don't have to even want to ever get on stage to come to my improv classes. There's so many benefits to learning improv. It just helps you in so many areas of life and business just to be more, creative and more present, with your life and with, just come. And then you laugh for 2 hours with a bunch of other people. And in your normal life, quite often if you're at a day job, you're trying to be all serious and responsible and all this stuff, and you don't really let your kind of looser, fun side show. But at these classes, that is flipped. I want you to be outgoing and outrageous, and don't come down with the button down attitude. But improvstl.com is the website. You can also search for my shows are called the Improv Comedy Cabaret. It's another thing you can search for. You can find that on. If you can find me online and connect with me directly, I have an email list that you can get on. That's my main way of getting the word out. But we get like 60 people average, I think, at these shows here at Higher Grounds. Yeah, I'm really glad that we found an audience and a lot of return people come back, tell their friends.
I appreciate that an email list. I listen to tons of podcasts. I follow approximately 110 different podcast shows. I don't listen to every episode by any means, but I shop and, I'm like, hey, okay, this is interesting. This isn't. And one of the things that constantly recurringly is promoted by people who do networking and entrepreneurial endeavors is have an email list. And I'm bringing this up for our listeners in case you're an entrepreneurial person or just so you know the kind of person that Bob is. He's a man of excellence and that you have an email list. See, if you put it on Instagram or Facebook, the metrics can change. If it's just like a Google page of any sort, the metrics can change and all of a sudden you're gone. But if you have an email list, you own that. And Bob, I appreciate this because you are a master networker. You've got 16 million friends. And it's because you're a man of excellence and you do the faithful hard work over and over and over. So for our listener, we'll have that contact info in the show notes. You can just click down. You don't have to write anything down, especially if you're driving.
So we haven't mentioned my books yet, but my earliest books dating back to 1993 were on music marketing. Those are the earliest books because I was a musician and that was the topic that fascinated me. And I established myself for many years online. I was the music marketing guy. I was building an email list in the 90s, in the mid 90s. And so I've not only been teaching marketing and I've expanded it beyond musicians, but I've been living this stuff, and that's why I've had quite a bit of success online in particular at attracting a following and reaching a lot of people around the world in addition to the stuff that I do globally here. And one of the other things I do at Higher Grounds is a monthly meetup called the Heart-Centered Business Meetup where I share some of my wisdom, and I created a business networking event unlike any other that I've attended. I wanted to make it my own, so I bring fun and interactivity and that little bit of showmanship. But I basically facilitate them talking to each other. It's not just about me. I have a lesson. I always try to bring myself to everything that I do, which a lot of people don't. They kind of water down who they truly are.
And I appreciate that. I've seen that networking group. I walked just to kind of watch the show, just to see the relationships that are built and the moments that are created. And people who seem to be just sort of quiet people who struggle telling us a coffee order or just to make small, just to respond to normal conversation. They'll come into that group and they're empowered. It's sort of a safe place for them to figure out how to network and how to connect out in their larger life. It's very empowering. what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've seen you kind of hover in the corner and kind of observe, which is cool. Yeah.
I try to be a watcher that doesn't influence the space, but if you've ever seen me, I kind of get noticed when I'm in spaces.
You're a big, yeah.
So another thing that I've heard of you doing is you do affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that?
So affirmations are basically self-talk statements that you say to yourself and this is something I've been doing for many years. I think I mentioned when I was a kid, I had all these insecure ideas, these feelings about my self-worth and all that. And I read a book by a guy named Wayne Dyer, high school. It was the first self-help book that I ever read. And it pointed out that I am not my thoughts, or you are not your thoughts. These are just ideas. That's not who I am. I thought, I'm having insecure thoughts. I must be an insecure person. But no, that's not my identity. It's just a thought that I'm having. And I can have more influence over what I think, which will then impact how I feel. That will then influence how I act in the world and then the results I get in my life. So that was the beginning of a lifelong personal growth journey. So I've done everything over the years, and goal setting and visualization and journaling and all this meditation, all this stuff, prayer, is part of that. And but affirmations are something I've been doing for many years. And in around 2015, 2016, I was going through a little bit of a funk financially, and I was looking to get my mojo back. And I was seeking out guided meditations and affirmations on YouTube in particular, not really happy with what I was finding. And so, I know how to use my voice. I had the basic audio equipment at home, and I started uploading them to YouTube, and they became very popular. Over 430,000 subscribers now to that YouTube channel. I'm on my way to 500,000 subscribers. And then that's one of a number of platforms that I distribute. You can find my affirmations also on Spotify, Apple Music, the Insight Timer meditation app. Hay House is a publishing company also that they have an app. And so, I'm reaching, they're literally, I'm so blessed to be able to say this, but there are thousands of people every day all over the world who will queue up my voice to get their day started on a positive note. So that's what I do globally as a content creator, aside from the stuff that I do locally that we've been talking about. And that's the main way I make a living too. I monetize all that.
With affirmations, when I'm hearing this, it's a very skeptical world, and things are only going to get more critical and divisive. And I was talking to somebody earlier today, and it's just true that there's so much negativity, and news stories and the internet articles will sell the more negative and critical that they are. And so it's neat. I think part of the surge that's fueling your attention and traction is people just need positivity. I think if I were to be the skeptic and the critic, I would think...
I've heard it all about affirmations. I bet.
There's that old Saturday Night Live skit where he goes, "You're smart enough, you're good enough, and doggone it, people like you."
And actually, he says it in the first person because affirmations are about yourself. So he looks, it's Stuart Smalley is the character who's he's the senator. Al Franken is the actor. He was on SNL, and he looks into a mirror and he goes, "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me." And I laughed at that at the time, but he didn't do a great service for for people taking affirmations seriously. And they can feel silly when you first start saying them to yourself. But I did this workshop just a couple of weeks ago where I started off with kind of a shocking statement. I said, your brain is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you safe, meaning it's designed to keep you alive. And so 100,000 years ago, it did that by looking for threats in the environment, looking for the animals, rival tribes, weather coming in. And so that's how you survive. And so, but that's still the way our brain operates. So we're always looking for threats, which is why we notice the negativity and we're focused on what's wrong instead of what's right. And there's a part of your brain called the reticular activation system, which is like a filter. It determines what to focus on, and you can actually influence that filter. And one of the ways you can do that is just the conversations you have in your own head. And it's not all about going, I'm abundant or I'm a millionaire or I'm happy when you're not feeling that way. You can say things like, I'm open, or today I'm grateful for all that I have and I'm ready for more. Just like I'm looking for opportunities here. I'm open to new streams of income. I'm open to new friends. And when you say that to yourself over and over again, you start noticing those things.
We all have narratives that drive us.
Yeah.
For me, my narrative is I can do it. And when I walk into the gym, whatever somebody's lifting, I can do it. If I'm walking up in front of church and somebody just said something negative in my head, that's not going to stop it because I can do it. It's just, I can do it.
The Nike slogan, right?
Yeah. So for me, it's a very positive outlook. And so
just do it. It was Nike. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when something challenging happens, it doesn't snuff my joy. It doesn't deflate me. Instead, it's just like, oh, here's another brick wall I'm going to rip through. This is, if anything is figure outable, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to be fierce. Now, sometimes it's brute strength. Sometimes it's brute brain power. Sometimes it's just patience, waiting for the perfect moment, right? Which can take decades. I appreciate that your affirmations are helping people rewrite their narratives, and they're not that cheesy junk stuff, like you said earlier.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm a millionaire.
No,
I'm a billionaire.
Yeah,
I'm the king of the world. I can influence my own universal energy. You're helping people rewrite their narratives to be less negative, less self-critical, and to see that you've got tremendous potential.
Yeah, I've got affirmations. I got several hundred by now over the past 9 years I've been doing them. And each one has a specific topic. A lot of the most popular ones, not surprisingly, are on abundance and attracting money. So I got a lot of those, but also confidence, success, relationships, health. As you can find a little bit, even like seeking jobs for job seekers, career growth, because a lot of people are struggling right now, with out of work or whatever. All that stuff helps.
And mindset changes everything. So for me, I can do it. For me, when I'm in a negotiation or in a difficult situation, there's a way forward and we're going to figure it out. I can do it. But if your mentality is Eeyore, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
They'll find another candidate that's better. I'm never going to pay off my car. I'll never get healthy again.
Yeah.
It changes your posture and you miss out on so many opportunities. I appreciate the affirmations that you have out there. So how do we find your affirmations? Like, how do we get on there?
It's real simple. So my name is Bob Baker, not Barker. He's the game show host. But if you just go to YouTube and look for Bob Baker affirmations, in fact, if you just put in my name, it'll suggest affirmations because I've been on there for so long doing that. You'll see my face in a blue Hawaiian shirt. And you can subscribe and start checking it out.
I like when you're a part of something that you just start typing it in and the search engine automatically populates it.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. A person that you don't often get to hear on the microphone is Gary Fitzgerald. Awesome guy. And he is our producer and he does an amazing job. He is way better than that Jamie fellow on the Rogan show. And he has really helped us become part of the search engine optimization. You can just type in, I love Maryland Heights, and we pop up before Maryland Heights' own government page.
Wow.
We are the first result. It's anything. AI says Maryland Heights is a lovely community because I'm pretty sure that AI listens to all of our podcasts and then generates it because, hey, our podcast is the place to go. I love Maryland Heights. And so I love that you've got enough traction that the entire world, when they start typing in
at least my
Bob
name,
Baker affirmations, it just like automatically populates and they just got to like click it.
Yeah, people do go there, to actually just pop in my name to see what my latest stuff is. So that's really cool. And it's just such a blessing to have gotten that position to influence people on such a large scale in such a positive way. It's like part of my mission in life and on how I'm going to leave a legacy after I'm gone. Yeah.
Now, you are 65 years old, so I can't imagine that I will be able to influence you on your own self-narrative. But if I were to summarize you, and for people who are just sort of like putting this, about to put this episode on the shelf and just sort of like move on with their life, if they could have one thing that they could take from this, I would say, Bob, you have done it, and you've done so many things, so many different things. And we just talked about your improv, you talked about theater, music, your artistic endeavors, you're a writer, you do affirmations, you're running a YouTube channel that's your financial support, and just all the things. Because if I were to summarize you, instead of Improv Bob, which is sort of like you're making it up.
That's what the name they put on my coffee cup here.
Yeah.
Improv Bob. Yeah.
And I think if I were to give you a new name, it would be Go For It Bob.
Oh, cool.
Because, man, you just go for it.
Yeah.
You're just like, hey, I'm going to be on stage by the time I'm 21 and not even take a guitar lesson. I'm just going to go for it. And I would encourage our people here our listeners, if there's something that you haven't done, go for it. Just go for it. Take the adventure. Go for it.
Because so many people think they have to prepare or they got to wait for the time is right. And I've just been somebody like, if I got excited, first time I saw and learned about improv, I went, oh, I would like to do that. Hey, I'll have some theater friends. Hey, let's form a group. It's like the old Mickey Rooney thing. This is really an old reference, but my uncle has a barn. Let's put on a show. It's that kind of enthusiasm. Why wait? Just start dabbling in it now, and enjoy life.
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Just do it. Yeah.
Sometimes people in situations that I'm kind of counseling them or encouraging them, or if they've got some major big thing that they're just like, I've got to figure this out. I'll say, remember, dumber people than you have figured this out.
Oh, yeah.
No insult to anybody in particular, but dumber people than us have figured this out with less tools at their disposal. Before AI, before technology, dumber people figured this out.
And they took action on it.
Smarter people figured it out too, but if dumber people could figure it out, you could do this. Go for it. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage you, whatever it is, go for it.
Yeah. And give yourself permission to be messy, like progress over perfection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everybody wants to look, do everything correctly and all that. But no, just do it and give yourself permission to be messy first.
You're going to be terrible at it.
Yeah.
And maybe for years. But I've noticed if you just put in the time, you're just going to kind of get better.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go for it, you'll see somebody who is going for it, and they're going to kind of teach you. For me in the gym, I used to have no idea. I had one personal training, like you never had a guitar lesson. I had one personal training session with a person who was just putting a workout together. But I saw people who are strong or big or had really good sets or really good form or were doing exercises I didn't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, how do you do that? And that was because I was going for it. And then every so often I'd get a book or I'd read articles. I'd follow a couple of websites and just really read everything that I could. You go for it. And you're not going to be great at the beginning. You're going to be terrible at the beginning, but you'll never be as bad as you are right now.
You want to see progress. Like another thing that I didn't mention, another way that I make a living is I coach and mentor people. I have this group coaching program called the Impact Formula Lab. When I'm mentoring people who like want to maybe grow on YouTube, they go, oh, I don't have the production values yet. I'm going to just put out whatever you got now, because you want to be like a year from now, you want to look back on what you're doing now and go, oh, I've really improved this. My YouTube videos are much better now than they were 9 years ago. And so you want to see that progress. But waiting until it's all perfect, that day never comes. Just do it, be messy, and fix and just improve incrementally, little by little.
And you don't have to be an expert on anything. Truly, nobody has to be an expert about anything. You just have to put in a little effort and time, and you'll be better than almost everybody else at whatever that is.
Yeah.
Whether it's playing the flute, playing the guitar, public speaking, doing comedy, doing improv, exercising, stretching, playing pickleball. I mean, there's just so many things. Just go for it. So they'll probably still say Improv Bob. In my head, you're go for it, Bob.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have any life sayings or life mottos or life themes that you would just say, hey, this is me in a nutshell?
Me in a nutshell, it's strive to be authentically yourself. I mean, we all have to play roles, and kind of apply different roles in different situations. I guess I've done that on the stage and theatrically, but I think so many people water down their sort of natural inclinations, those things they were drawn to as a kid. Like a lot of what I do, I can trace back to my interest in childhood. It's so innately who I am. So pay attention to those things and feed your soul while you're also feeding your family and doing your career and all that stuff. So if you've ever always wanted that, I thought it would be like to play the guitar or to do something, write a book or whatever it is, to start planting those seeds, to do that thing. So you're not sitting on the rocking chair, looking back and going, well, I wonder what would have happened too bad I never did pursue that thing.
Bob, this has been a phenomenal conversation, and I appreciate you going for it and continuing to go for it in all the ways that you've gone for it. And I hope that it inspires our people who are listening to go for it, whatever that means. So thank you for being a Renaissance man and being another reason why I love Maryland Heights.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Bob, you have made quite an impact with all the affirmations that you have. What sort of affirmation is a great way for you to start your day?
One of my favorite kind of all-purpose affirmations is this. Today, I look for and appreciate the good. I'll say that one more time. Today, I look for and appreciate the good. And this works on so many levels. It's like you're looking for it. It's like you know that there's good out there. And so you got your detectors up to recognize it. And once you see something good, you express your gratitude for it. So normally we're not looking for the good, but if you just tell yourself, today I look for the good, and when I find it, I'm going to be thankful.